So there's been all this talk about aura recently, and I think this discussion is important to have in MMA because being a star and selling pay-per-views is obviously a huge part in the UFC, and I think having an aura kind of embodies that exactly. How I would describe the word aura is just having things about you that make people really interested and give you a certain feeling when they walk into a room. You give off an aura. That's what the word is. I think it has to do mostly with how you act, aka your personality, but also some other smaller things that add to it, like how you look, what you do, and so forth. Because it's one of those things where you just kind of feel it if someone has it. Maybe you aren't even able to put your finger on why, but they just make you feel that way. And then some don't, and then also for them, you might not know why they don't. The most prime, obvious example would be Conor McGregor in his prime. Everyone knows this. He checked literally every box. Charisma, confidence, fighting style, winner, money, comedy, looks. He has that funny side to him and that serious side. The way he walks, his facial expression. I might be getting a bit gay here, but you know what I mean. I'm just trying to get the point across. As in, he has the ultimate aura in the UFC. And just in general, he's one of those guys that, he just has that charisma and you just want to be his friend and you think he's cool. At least in his prime. Maybe not now, but, he has that. And so much so that so many people tried to copy his personality. And that's another key thing about this. It doesn't work like that. You can't just be someone else. You can't just adopt someone's personality if that's not you. You have to actually be yourself. And some people say, well, what if you're just boring when you're yourself? And it's I feel like pretty much everyone can be interesting in some way if they actually are themselves. But it's so hard to get to that point. It's hard for you to actually be yourself and show that off. To bring that out of you and show it to people. I feel like most people are just putting on a front. Even if it's a little bit, they're not authentically themselves. And so I think if you are, you're most likely going to be at least a little bit interesting to a group of people. Yeah, I feel like if you just bring out your real authentic self and then maybe add a little spice to it for promotion, if we're talking, UFC promoting, then almost anyone can be entertaining, I think. Being a charismatic, funny guy or crazy loud guy, that isn't the only way to get people interested. If there's some quiet guy who doesn't talk much and is kind of mysterious, a lot of people are interested in that too. But someone like that can't be quiet because they're scared or they're insecure. They have to be confident about it, like a confident introvert. I find those people pretty cool. I find those people are some of the coolest people. Someone who I think is interesting and has a lot of aura potential, I guess is what you call it, is Peyton Talbot, the new UFC fighter. Of course, he's just starting out and he has one fight in the UFC only, but his fighting style and skill mixed with his personality, I find him really interesting, personally. Just watching him after the fight, his post-fight interview, and his interview with Ariel also, I watch those and I'm just this guy's cool. For whatever reason, I just think he's cool. And now I'm a fan. And I think the reason why is because, like I mentioned earlier, he's the prime example of just being yourself. And I think his self is cool. And I think a lot of people agree, and so I think he'll be a big star in the future.
Mr. Rodman, he's my spirit animal if I were to be a basketball guy. But I think a lot of personalities live and die in the cage, and I think people can learn a lot from people like Dennis Rodman, people like Johnny Manziel, people like Conor McGregor that they have other things going outside of the cage. Maybe Conor McGregor isn't a great example, but it's important to just fighting is something I do. I'm not a fighter. It's not my identity, but it's just something I do right now. I might not even be doing it in 5 years. So, I don't know. I think when you keep things like that, you keep the excitement and the spontaneity within training.
Now, somebody who you would think has a lot of aura, but just kind of doesn't, is Sean O'Malley. His fighting style checks the box. The way he dresses is just it's trying to be cool and funny, and maybe it is to some people, little kids, but I just think it kind of makes him look even weirder, and I feel like if he just had the normal hair and wore some clean clothes, then he'd be cooler to me. And the biggest thing wrong with him and his aura is just his mic skills. He never knows what to say, he stutters a lot, and he pre-plans things to say at press conferences. It's just kind of corny and not charismatic at all. It's funny too, because when he's on his podcasts, he's actually really funny when he's around his friends and stuff, but then at the press conference, he kind of freezes up. So yeah, Sean is a big star, but he has no really aura in my opinion, which if he had an aura, I think he would be a massive star, even bigger than he is now. Someone else who has no aura in my opinion is Colby Covington, despite being a decently big star. And that's because everything he says is fake and pre-planned, and he stutters like crazy, and he's just corny. Is he entertaining? Sure, but he doesn't have that aura. A common trend here is the people that don't have it try to act a certain way, and the people that do have it are just being themselves. In my opinion, you have to be able to be yourself and not act like a different person. Don't try to be loud and scream just because the other person is. Act how you really want to act and say what you really want to say. I think that's the key to have aura.